We're going to finish this guy tonight, I think. How long have we been recording? Did my camera stop recording? Alright. Welcome back. Going to finish up getting this together. We have got the wires lengthened. So in case you can't see, we've got we've added on about 4 or 5 inches to the end of this, the shorter rear wires. We've taped them up, and we've run them how I think they probably should be run, and we're going to go ahead and solder them in place after we take off the top plate. Now, I'm going to leave them long because I think that on this build, with everything moving around the way it is, I think we're just going to need that extra length. So I'm going to leave them just a little bit long. I wouldn't normally do it like this, but for this particular case, it's just a little wonky. So better long than short. You know, if you have a choice between too long or too short. Well, shit. Alright, finished taking out these screws. It's twice now. This battery has said it was nearly full and then tanked on me. So, cameras. And unfortunately, this Lumix, you can't power it based on the USB cable. You have to, there's no way to externally power it that I'm aware of. Oh, come on. This is the one I hammered in place. Of course, it's going to be a problem. Alright, just... Well, that was stupid. Yeah. Look away, everyone. Look away. There we go. You know what I'm going to do? File set. So when you're filing carbon fiber, it's a good idea to wear a face mask, especially if you're going to make small particles. I mean, really small particles. In this particular case, we're not doing all that much with it, so I'm just going to risk it here. All right, and I'm trying to do this such that I'm not over top of my quad. Yeah. All right, I think that's fine. Let's see if this fits a little better. All right, this guy goes like this, and this one fits in here. I'm just gonna grind. Ooh. That ought to be plenty. Just needs a little tweaking. Watch it catch on fire. And there we go. That's all it needed, mostly. Although, could use just a little bit off of this side right here. Boom. Done. Alright, good. Okay, so we need to get this guy soldered into place. Alright. Do the back ones here. And I've already cut and pre-tinned these just because I didn't think it was all that important to show. Smell of burning nylon. And the last one. All right. 3 for 3. Okay. Hot. And yes, I got a new camera. I had been using an iPhone for my face cam, and this is a cheapo Sony camcorder thing. We'll see how it turns out. I don't have high hopes for it. The iPhone 6 I was using, I had promised my daughter, even though she's only 4, yes, I know, but she is a technophile like me. Not really. She just constantly wants to be on a phone, like pretty much every child of every generation. All right. And it didn't matter that I wanted to make videos with it. She didn't care. Nonplussed, as they might say. Alright, what's the best way to do this? I think... Oh, by the way, I decided I'm going to run props out on this. I think it'll give me better yaw authority in the rear, because my rears are undersized. We'll see. I don't know. It could all be a crapshoot. But I taped up the wires to be props out. Whether or not that was a mistake or not, we have yet to see. But my guess is it's going to be a crapshoot either way if this thing flies. So, might as well be daring. I was watching another YouTuber, some Australian lady, Oni girl, something like that. Anyway, her boyfriend or flying companion or whatever he was said he always runs props out down there, and it keeps him from having to rescue his quad from trees, because apparently Australia has all sorts of scraggle and stuff just gets trapped. And that made sense. And I was like, eh. And I was like, And then I remember reading about Joshua Bardwell talking about his experiences with props out on micros, and how pretty much every micro runs props out. And almost no one runs props out with a full-size quad. So why not? Give it a shot. Like I said, I'm running 3-inch motors in the rear of this quad. You can even call it that. And that's going to be a fun little adventure. Let's get this guy in place. Alright, there's one. Two. Oh, come on. Yay. Smell burning nylon. Well, that was a first. Managed to get solder to spring up out of the the little solder cleaner. Well, of course, and then it falls onto the board, but we'll see. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine, he says confidently. Alright, and we're going to tighten this guy down a little bit so that it's not so loose. Okay. Good. Alright. One step closer to being done here. Alright. And in case I didn't mention it, we are going to be running a Crossfire Nano. Just because I hate pretty much everything else except for Crossfire Nano. And that's not a reflection on anything other than user experience. I don't... the binding process and everything else that goes into, you know, just everything. The Free Sky, I haven't tried the jumper stuff, so I don't know if jumper is better or worse. I hope it's better. I'd love to have a competitor to Free Sky, but until I've actually seen it work, I have my doubts. You know, I don't know if you watched my last video, my rant about F-port. It was just too much of a hassle to get working, so I never did. Just abandoned it. The luxury of the Crossfire was just too alluring. And then for the VTX, I'm going to run the Nano, and I think this is the TBS Unify Pro 32 Nano, and I have a where are you? I have this little 16 by 16 board from Mamba Diatone, and then I have this 30 by 30 board, and then I have this 20 by 20 board, and I don't like any of these, so we won't be using any of those. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Alright. Let's get our Crossfire connected up. We're going to set this guy off to the side for a few minutes. I'm going gonna set all these over here. Good God. That's what I get for filing carbon fiber over my build. Here we go. This little guy comes in handy. Okay, good. And we will take this guy and dump him out. All right. Do. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, where are the little wires? We got a bunch of little wires and a little transparent film to cover everything. And we'll set that aside because I already have a little transparent film we can use for this. Okay, so we've got ground 5-volt signal and telemetry in that order. And we will go ahead off the tip, and we'll just, I'm using the through holes just because worked well last time. Hopefully this is centered in my shot, or at least not too far off. There's that one. There's that one. And okay, 4 down. Okay, that looks pretty good. Yeah. Okay. We are done with that guy. And the race, this, or I'm sorry, the Unify Pro Nano. That is the smallest one that they make, and I really like it. I think it is just a, for as small as it is, as powerful. Oh, look at that. They give you a nice little thing now. That's, this has never been in any of my other builds. Huh. Well, that's a bummer. I wish I'd had a 20 by 20 stack, because this is a 20 by 20 board, but no worries. We'll toss it in the bucket. Use it on the next one. Yeah, I could fit a larger VTX in this thing for sure, but I'm just going to set it right on top of the Mamba board and be done with it, so I might as well. You know, I don't actually remember what the pinouts are on this. You know what that means? Google. Yep, you're gonna have to Google it. Good old-fashioned Google. Alright. Alright. And we want TBS Unit Pro 32 Nano wiring diagram. Yep, you just punch it in, the full name of the thing, and then followed by wiring diagram. And usually one of the first images that shows up is exactly what you're looking for. So it looks like on this guy, I like to orient myself based on the bind pin, or the bind button, or in this, it's not a bind button, it's a button to change the channel, and so I like to orient myself off of that. So looking at this, we have smart audio, video, ground, and then the ground, the pass-through voltage, and then the ground again, and then 3 to 13 volts in. And we will just do the two at the end. So we'll do positive here, yep, and then the negative ground, and then we're going to skip the next two because they're pass-through, and then we're going to do video and smart audio, and we will color those accordingly. So it shows them, oh come on, there we go, wires, yay. So we've got a ground wire, we need one of those, we need a 5-volt wire, we need a yellow video wire, and I'm just going to call smart audio green. Remember, smart audio is green. And then I'm going to put the rest of these aside because it's always good to have a bucket of spares. And we will do the pass through. We'll start here, and yay. Hopefully you can see this. There's two. We're doing yellow for video. And then green for smart audio, which is a terribly named protocol. I'm just saying. VTX control would have been a better. Great. There's those two. And we want the flight controller. And we've got lots and lots of ports here. So what do we want to use? Here is the wiring pinout, and here are the pads. So we've got, we're probably going to be hanging off the back here. So it looks like ground, 5-volt, TX, and RX. On that guy, we can use that for our crossfire, and then we can use the pads over here. Oh my gosh, is that a 9-volt pad? It says it is 9V. I hadn't seen that before. Is that really a 9-volt pad? I wonder what the rating is on it. If it's 2 amps, you could use this for an air unit, a DJI HD air unit. All right, So we're going to connect the ground, TX, and vid, and the 5 volt to this guy. All right. All right. These pads are pretty close together, I'm not gonna lie. Pretty darn close. Yep, pretty darn close. And I'm just going to leave these full length because I don't really have any reason to shorten them. And we'll just tin these guys up. Okay. So we want RX is going to be the yellow wire, because you want to connect channel 1 to the RX pad. Good God. Alright. Let's see here. Okay. And then channel 2 to the TX pad, because that's your telemetry if you're going to be using that. And then we want 5 volt. And ground. Okay. All right. That one is pretty darn good. Give them all just a little tug, you know. Mind them who's boss. And then call that done. And then over here, we're going to go ahead and wire that up. First, let me just grab my camera. I am planning on running this Foxeer Arrow. I have no idea if this is a good camera or not. I don't remember when I got this camera or why I bought it. It's probably just something that was recommended by Josh at some point for some reason, or Oscar. I really don't remember what made me buy this camera. But whatever it was, it's here now, and it's going in this quad. Alright, so we've got VCC, ground, video, typical, and then we have OSD and VSense, which I think is voltage sense. So I'm guessing that this is one of the older style cameras that the OSD control is actually analog based on how much resistance each one of these little buttons on this guy produces. And which is kind of the way these work typically. You got a little remote control doodad here. Each one of these has a resistance value associated with it. And then camera screws. We've got connectors and washers and other things. So we've got this guy coming out like so. Good Lord. One of these is a camera connector. It's usually the one with 5 wires. This looks like it. It looks like, yes. I don't even know. Alright. Purple. I'm pulling the V-Sense wire out. There's a lot of wires wrapped up in this thing. Because I'm not using the onboard voltage sensing. And we're just going to unstring this guy, unwind it a little bit. Because we really only need 3 wires. 4 if we really want to run. But do we want to run the OSD? Let's see. Is there cam control here? Let's see. Cam control. 5 volt cam ground. 5 volt, 9 volt ground. PPM, boot, VCC, video, ground. No, there's no cam control. There's a camera here, but I think that just means in from the cam, the video signal in. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think we're going to run a... Yep. We're not going to run a cam control off this thing. Because I don't care much. We do need a couple of inches though. Of wire. That should be plenty. Clip it. Save the rest of your wire. No sense wasting wire. Strip it. I have 2 grounds, don't I? Not flowing that much current. I don't need 2 grounds or 2 positives or anything else. Okay. These itty bitty wires. We're going to go ahead and tin these real quick. Oh, come on. Hopefully you can see this. And if not, I apologize. I am not a very good YouTuber yet. Alright. And then We need this guy here. We need the ground, TX, and vid. Ground. Oop. Okay. And 10 these guys here, I'm just going to leave them the same exact length. Yep. It's a little long, but again, like I said, with this build, I feel like longer wires are going to help us out in the end. I don't know why. Probably because it's such a weird little craft. Weird little airframe. Doing weird little things on my weird little channel. Okay. Come on. I gotta say, I like having a silicone mat. Okay. So, we want 5 volt in the back here. I'm going to come down. We want ground. And then we want yellow with video. And green with smart audio. Oh, come on. Okay. I'm going to call that good. Whether it is or not, I'm calling it. And we want our cameras. Alright, so we want, so it is buzzer positive, buzzer negative, 5 volt, ground, and cam. And let's just double check that this runs off of 5 volts. This says VCC. Check the case. The case says input voltage 5 volts to 40 volts. So always double check your cams. Sometimes they can be like 7 volts to 50 volts, or whatever it is. You just want to make sure that you're not underpowering it, or else you'll be fighting gremlins. Here's that one. That's the 5 volt. This is the ground. And they're touching. Okay. That looks pretty good. So we want 5 volt first, then ground, then camera. Oh, come on. 5 volt first. then ground, and then camera. Camera. Come on. There it is. Okay. I think we're looking pretty good here. We've got our crossfire wired up. We've got our VTX wired up. We've got our camera wired up. We've got our camera here ready to go in. We've got our cable. This was a Mamba and it came as a stack, so I don't need to do any wire mapping on this guy. We should be good to go right out of the box without anything else. We're going to point it forward and we're going to interference isolator. I reckon. Put that on just like so. Get this guy off the screen and we will move this guy out of the way. Very useful, that little stick vise. I bought it a couple weeks ago. Said, oh, I'll probably never use it. I've used it on every build since. Funny how some tools you're like, we'll see. Just give it a shot. It's a couple bucks, you know. Probably crap, but you never can tell. And then you end up using the crap out of it. I like tools like that. Well, this is embarrassing. At some point, my camera stopped recording. So I have no idea exactly how much I caught on this. But, here's where we're at. I've got crossfire in. I've got camera wired up. I've got Pro Nano wired in from TVS. And I've got this Fox ear ready to go. So we'll see where we're at. I honestly have no idea how much it caught or how much it didn't. I have to review it when I get back to my desk. That's a bummer. Anyway, I talked about the why not and about all the different things that I was doing with coming up. So, you know, if you're at all interested in the sorts of things I've been doing, stay tuned, because I've got a ducted tricopter coming. I've got a Mr. Steel build coming. I've got a bunch of little micros coming up next. So something fun to play with during the winter time, at least indoor. And we'll see how that goes. But yeah, let's get this camera front chassis thing figured out. Let's see, it looks like this can go on after the fact. Yes. Alright. So this guy slips over like this. And this, let's put some bracing in first. At least on one side of this. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Double checking my camera. That's a real drag. Hopefully I caught more than I think I did. But I'm not hopeful. I got a brand new face cam between everything. I must have just forgot to hit the record button. A real bummer. That's alright. We'll get this hooked up here. Get this cage set in here. Cage looks kind of fancy. Yeah, got to push a couple wires down, out. Yeah. It's a snug fit. Yeah. Alright. We are looking good there. And then the other one is right beneath it. And just push it in. About like so. Line it up. Good God. Could fit a full-size HD camera in here. It's a hell of a tray. Am I forgetting pieces somewhere? I don't think so. Oh, come on. Three, 4, fit 2 cameras in there. Definitely different. All right. I must have some little set of mounts or something floating around here. I guess not. Well, that's nifty. Clips in just like that. Gives you a couple of choices of angle. Alright. Anyway. I need to figure out how I'm going to mount this guy in here. Because it sure looks like there's a piece or a component set aside somewhere that I have mislaid, and I'll find it and we'll record again. All right. Thank you.